Doing YouTube for the last couple of years has been the biggest blessing of my life. Anyone that regularly comments on my videos knows that I do almost read every comment per video, and one question normally comes up every video. What hero would you recommend for newer players? Instead of responding to every comment painstakingly with information that would be impossible to appease every single person, I have a better idea. With the recent events, I've been thinking a lot. Most For Honor players in today's games actually don't want a hero recommended to them that has 10 to 20 different mechanics they need to think about and just want to hit buttons. So I have an understanding on what I actually have to do. Make a video covering each faction's easiest and most effective hero to make sure that anyone in any faction gets a valid answer. Now I think I should explain one thing. These are my opinions on the heroes I think new players and casual players could utilize to their fullest, and we might have differing opinions on who's the easiest. With this in mind, I will have an honorable mention segment at the end of each faction to give multiple heroes the spotlight instead of just one. Also, one thing to keep in mind that these selections are based off of a solo to duo queue mindset to help players find a hero that could potentially carry them when they struggle with the gift Ubisoft has given them called the For Honor matchmaking system. I should also say that if you main any of these heroes I call easy, don't take offense to it. Most of the heroes on this list are some of my highest repped heroes on my account, and I play them strictly because they're fun, so you do you. With all that being said, if you want to support, hit that sub button. By the time this video is up, tomorrow is my birthday. I'm turning the ripe age of 67. So before I die, please sub. The Knights faction is the most mained faction in the entire game. Even if the Vikings win literally every single faction war, it's just inflated by the Knight cucks who just wanted free rewards. This faction also still has the highest amount of heroes in terms of other factions, and there are multiple options a Knight main could choose. If I were to give a hero the tag easiest to play for new players, I would have to give it to Griffin. This hero has so much effectiveness in his kit that it does not take much to understand him. Opener Bash, Opener Light with enhanced properties, and Double Light that leads to 3 distinct finishers you can honestly choose at random and work majority of the time. Griffin used to have the nickname the hero for monkeys. You ever hear that saying, give a monkey a typewriter, he'll eventually play Beethoven? Give a monkey Griffin, he'll eventually drop 20 kills in a Dominion game. I know it might be odd to recommend a DLC hero to a new player, and it seems kind of rough, but I do not believe that 15k takes that long to grind up if you just invest it all and save while you're still doing every order given to you every day. The strongest and easiest part are his finishers. A lot of players have put the fear of God into themselves with Griffin's finisher Bash, so they love dodging the second you get into your finisher. You have 3 options at your disposal here. Catch dodge attacks with both of them. Hyper Armor Heavy Finisher doing 30 damage on the sides and 32 at the top, and an instant Hyper Armor at 100 MS, and of course the Undodgeable Light to catch late dodges. And the hardest one, just waiting and guard breaking. Not to mention his feats could really help a struggling team by just constantly healing them to undo their mistakes. There's no bad healing feat in his kit. The only question you would have to ask is your 4th feat. I know a damaging bomb that heals is quite tempting, but as a player you need to think about Champion's Aura as well, sacrificing damage for more mobile healing. The honorable mention for the Knights first one has to be Conqueror. Majority of Conk games I turn my brain off and just swing for the fucking fences. Having a dodge bash is a highly threatening move for casual play, and having a full block recovery on miss is the casual player's big mistake fixer. The only reason I would not put Mr. Orange as the easiest is because of his inability to catch anyone running away. If new to casual players have a single habit, it's running away from fights. Having no ability to stop someone running away from you would make you want to stop playing the game entirely. And the last hero I wanted to put was Blackbriar. Now, I really did want to put Gladiator, but after a lot of thought and talk with some people in the community, I think Blackbriar fits this role way more. He's got a Bash and Dodgeable 50/50, which is the new player-friendly guide to the opener to mid-chain pressure. Then he's got his Bulwark Slash, which is just a really good ganking tool. And he's got Bulwark Flip, which again is a very solid defensive option that is really not hard to use. And lastly, if your team really sucks at ganking all the time, you have Oathbreaker in your back pocket to fix their mistakes for them. So easily Blackbriar makes the list. For the Samurai, I had to think a little bit harder. Not because the Samurai are hard characters to play, but just because I truly needed to think about every character's learning curves and skill ceilings for a newer player. The Samurai have a ton of easy heroes, but I feel like half of them would just really suck for a newer to casual player experience for reasons I'll cover in the honorable mentions. But for me, I'd have to say the easiest hero in this faction, in my opinion, has to be Kyoshin. Yet again, Kyoshin is a hero that has very little of a learning curve. We all know how newer to casual players just love pure offense, even if it's just spamming lights, and who to better counter this mindless button spam than Kyoshin? We've all had at least one single experience where we match against a Kyoshin that's actually really just a brain-dead mouth breather, but was an annoying and effective teammate by just sitting in Kaze stance at ganks. But obviously that's not the only reason I would say Kyoshin is the easiest. When it comes to mix-up tools, Kyoshin has literally almost everything. Opener crushing counters to play even more defensive, and just like Griffin, Kyoshin has a 50-50 chain ender bash and undodgeable mix-up to yet again give the player the ability to just choose one of them and just hope they got it right. The honorable mention I would have to give to Orochi. I mean, he's a free hero, he's a new player, nightmare for light spam, but I would 100% confidently say that Orochi's skill ceiling is a bit higher than Kyoshin's because of things like dodge cancels. You'd have to think about which kick Storm Rush mix-up you want to use in your dodge cancels, and players who are able to think with the level of a chimp and up will predict on just light attacking you out of your Storm Rush if you keep spamming it. With Orochi, there's more things you need to keep in mind to make him effective, but when in reality, making a Kyoshin effective is just sitting in stance holding a single button. The second honorable mention I think people want to see is Shinobi. In my opinion, the safest hero in the entire game, but still with a higher skill ceiling than both Orochi and Kyoshin combined. The only reason I would not recommend Shinobi to a solo to do a Q player is the sole purpose that Shinobi strives off coordinated team play. The problem comes with an uncoordinated team of solo to do players just do not know how to gank with a Shinobi when it's literally just hitting 2 heavy attacks in between his kicks. I know it's a lot to ask for a teammate to know how to properly gank every single game, but I'm not asking you to recite pi to the 15th digit. And then obviously there's Hitakiri, but that'd be a terrible influence and content creator to encourage more Hitakiri gameplay. This is the easiest pick out of the entire list of this video, and everyone already knows the answer. Yeah, I'm going with Varangian Guard. On the nose, no questions asked. You do not know how many times I've seen a player who is below average in skill level in my lobbies pick up VG after a terrible game and all of a sudden turns into God's Gift of Honor, dropping a 16-2 game when the last game he played was a 2-7 Valkyrie game. I know it may seem like most of these picks are from what people would call DLC heroes, but I mean, come on. That's literally every fighting game on the planet in this reality. Look at Smash, where 90% of S tier are DLC characters you have to buy because they are behind a paywall. At least in For Honor, you can earn them for free eventually. VG needs no introduction. She's got less button combos than even Warlord, yet a kit that is 20 times more effective. A soft feint unblockable, meaning that yet again, you do not even need to learn or be good at feinting to guard break because they made it even easier if you're playing VG. Her high damage ensures that players who have habits of trying to parry every unblockable will die very quickly because of the soft feint, and even if they think about dodging the attack, you have your trusty go fuck yourself full block that only puts them back into the same mix-up they were trying to get away from. Just like Kyoshin, the idea of a VG sitting near you in a gank makes your options of attack way more difficult to use and yet again punish players who can't even keep their hands off the attack buttons. Most of her good feats are all passive, so you don't have to worry about activating or positioning or anything of being in the right spot. It's just plain existing in a fight and you become way more effective as time goes on. That damage I talked about, guess what? It gets buffed with that third feat, making people die even faster. The honorable mention for the Vikings were much harder to think of. Some of these heroes truly require just even a little bit of brain power or else they aren't effective. Warlord, as I stated, is VG, but 10-20 times worse. But that doesn't mean Warlord's bad. I find it funny how after all these years, Warlord has stayed just effective enough to not be considered for a nerf or even a buff. Yeah, he's mundane and very easy, but he's also just a solid pick if you need someone to play and don't want to think too hard. And my last honorable mention for the Vikings faction would be Raider. He's really not in the best state, but in my opinion, he's just one of the easiest heroes in the faction. Sometimes the best way to play Raider is just turning your brain off and spamming your zone attack and just playing heavies. It's not gonna work all the time, but if they make one mistake, buddy, they're gonna feel it. The Wulin are the smallest faction with the least amount of heroes in the entire game. Now, I wouldn't consider them to be DLC, seeing as For Honor on Game Pass outright gives you the entire faction for free, and the fact that Marching Fire versions of the game are probably what people are buying more often due to recommendations from either their friends or whatever platform they are playing on when they're buying the video game for the first time. That being said, I still think majority of them take some sort of brain power and probably the most on this entire list, so my decision is kind of a tough one. Though if I were to have to pick one to be the easiest, I would have to go with JJ. He's just such a unit. Yes, he's got some complex things about him, like utilizing Sifu stance to its fullest, but anyone can play him without the knowledge of how to use Sifu properly and still play decent. Something that makes him easier is that when people are in the lower brackets, they tend to struggle with stamina preservation and stamina use. Have Sifu stance basically negate the entire 1/3 of the game's mechanics from just one button. JJ deals some absurd damage numbers without needing much effort, with heavy attacks varying from 24 to even 30 damage finishers. Not only do you have the massive amounts of damage, but you have some of the highest health pools in the game with his feats and perks. I'm not a guy who can sit there and hyper-optimize every single hero in the game, but I've been using Bulk Up plus Tough as Nails, and look at my health bar, man! Again, other than Sifu stance, there is not much of a skill ceiling to talk about with JJ. Opener Bash, that chains on whiff, a really good heavy finisher with soft feint properties, turn brain off, swing big hitboxes, hit entire team like a married man in Oklahoma, just trying to have a good time. An honorable mention I would have to give is Zanhu. I thought of putting him on the top, but I think, and the comments can correct me, If I'm wrong, Zanhu doesn't actually come free with the Wulin faction since he released after the faction's initial launch. He has like 6 moves and 2 of them are finisher unblockables, also with soft fade properties. The hero is just not really hard to understand, but there's more layers to him if you really want to play him to his fullest. I cannot, in my honest opinion, give a second honorable mention for an easy hero to pick up and play first time. As much as they chirp about Shaolin being really easy to play, I do not deny that this game has taken years off my life, and that any hero in this game is relatively easy to understand for me. But as a newer player to casual level player, any hero with a hold stance like him or Highlander definitely have some getting used to understand the mechanics properly, and you definitely won't learn him until like rep 5. The Outlanders probably have the least amount of dedicated mains in the entire game. Majority of these heroes are publicly shamed and criticized over every piece of social media, which unless you like the hero for the aesthetic or its heritage, the controversy that comes with these heroes are off-putting if you want to main them. Go and ask any Twitch streamer or even YouTuber, which faction should I play to have fun? None of them will probably say Outlanders. If I were to pick the easiest hero in the faction, I hands down am going with Aphira. This hero is so piss easy that I have literally forgotten the feint button exists in 90% of my Aphira games, but I just don't need it. This hero is truly idiot proof where even mashing buttons is viable. Opener and mid-chain light crushing counters, this makes the hero way hard to gank properly. Dodge cancels that really aren't difficult to utilize, and the most important part and why I think Aphira is the easiest is the bash undodgeable 50-50 finisher. I have gone full games just hitting buttons, refusing to feint, pitting it all on red or black like I'm a pro degenerate who gambles all his child support at the casino, and it just works. The ability to have such immense pressure forcing a guess on my opponents that both grants a heavy on hit with no real finisher is a crazy idea for a mechanic. Now don't get me wrong, as easy as Aphira is, there's some things you really need to think of that are complex with her. For example, knowing which heavy attack to use after a bash, positioning or utilizing her wall spot heavy, and what I've learned recently, what heavy to use on guard break. I don't know if it's common knowledge, but Aphira actually gets more damage on left side heavy than any other side heavy on guard break. Sure, it's a measly 1 damage, but hey, sometimes it does ramp up just enough to kill. One honorable mention I want to give is probably to Hatun. I know people might want to see Pirate on this list, but there's plenty of things you do need to understand about Pirate to make sure you're not a detriment to your team. You don't know how many times I've seen a Pirate gunshot blast after joining a gank just to feed a full course meal of revenge and just fucking die. Then you have the Virtuoso debate, but the amount of times I've shit on a bad Virtuoso because they themselves believe the hero is too easy happens very often. The amount of times a Virtuoso player will get in their own head believing that their character is so easy any option will work really is more of a downfall than a pro with the character. Let me know which hero you think is the easiest for you to understand being a new or casual player that you picked up instantly and understood how to play. As always, love you guys, and I hope you guys have a great day. My hope here is that revenge is gonna do its thing. Seeing as we've been outnumbered the entire time, that's gonna help a lot. No fucking way. Something the bear trap, we actually win this. Beauty, I cannot fucking believe that.